Our guest tonight is Krista Samimi. She is a mental wellness expert who helps individuals end burnout, level up in life, and create abundance. Oh boy, we're going to be having fun talking about burnout. Doing things differently with purpose, meaning, and intention are at the forefront of all that she does. After 17 years in the corporate world, she left pharmaceutical and healthcare sales to do things differently, not only professionally, but also personally. What began as trying a holistic approach to her mental health grew into Krista finding a mission and a movement bigger than herself, which ultimately led to her mental wellness business. She shares her experience living with bipolar to destigmatize mental health disorders as a mental health advocate and speaker. Let me try that again. As a mental health advocate and speaker, she inspires others with her message of hope and healing and how success is entirely possible, even with a mental health condition. Today, she has a successful business where she helps high performers elevate their mental wellness via the gut-brain axis. That's going to be very important later on. She also leads a large team of wellness partners. Together, they are helping others discover their different and step into their strengths and passion and grow into their highest selves. Absolutely amazing. So much to talk about there. I really want to hear from you in your own words. Who are you? What are you about? And, really, like, what's your story? How did you get to where you are today, and where did you come from?
Yeah, well, I came from, like, in terms of like the work that I was doing, I worked in the corporate space for many years, almost 17 years. And after experiencing significant burnout, I just came to a point where even though I was making really good money, it just wasn't fulfilling. And I could no longer just collect a paycheck and be happy and grateful. Like something inside me was like, I'm here to do something different. I'm here to, as my good friend Jen Russman says, turning your pain into power when you give it purpose. And literally, over the years, I've experienced mental health disorders, and it had greatly impacted me. And over the years, I've worked in the mental health space, but only at like volunteering. Like I was a support group leader for about 3 years around like 2005. And like that felt like my purpose. Like every Wednesday I showed up for my support group. I led those people. We shared stories, we did all the things. And it was really gratifying because I felt like I was helping others and using what I had experienced to also help them. But that didn't pay the bills. And I kind of burnt myself out on doing that.
Right.
And so I was still in corporate. And then I started doing some volunteer work for NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And they had this really unique program called In Our Own Voice. And that just lit me up. I'm like, wow, they train you on, like how to share your story. They set up speaking venues in churches, hospitals, schools. We went to high schools. And that, I literally say that got me through my corporate job for about 5 years because I was like on this speaking tour. I wasn't getting paid again, but it was volunteer, but it just really filled me up. And so I did that for about 5 years, just sharing my story. I even did it with my dad when he was living at the time. We would share our stories together as father and daughter. And I would have like grandmas come up to me at the end of the talk and they're like, oh my God, you remind me of my granddaughter and you give me so much hope that she's going to get out of her depression. Like, thank you so much. And like, that was like, you can't even put a price on that. And I was like, God, I wish I could like work in the mental health space and get paid for it. But I'm like, I don't want to go back and be a social worker and go back to school. Like I kept thinking that's, when you overthink things and you try to figure it out, like it just doesn't come to fruition. And then I kind of like gave up on like the mental health space and just trudged along in corporate. And I ended up leaving my corporate job because I was actually working for a pharmaceutical company of all places. And I left because we moved up to a different area and my husband like still had his job. And I was like, okay, I'll just figure it out. Well, I started going on interviews and doing all the things and I'm like, I just don't want a job. Like I want something else. And it came at a time when I was kind of in a pretty low point. This was 2019. Jacob was only 2 years old. I didn't have any like postpartum depression after he was born, but something happened that I literally was just burnt out. But it's not like I was burnt out because I was working. I was burnt out because I wasn't working and I wasn't doing something that I was passionate about, anything that filled me up. I mean, I want to be so grateful because I have the most amazing husband and I had a 2-year-old at the time. And I kept thinking, why am I so ungrateful for my life? But just something was missing. And burnout is really like doing too much of, not doing enough of what lights you up. Like it doesn't have to be like you're a workhorse and you work, and that's how you burn out. But like if you're not doing enough of what fills your cup, fills you up, you will burn out. And that's what happened in 2019. And coupled with, I'm diagnosed with bipolar, and sometimes with bipolar that you get like depression and you get down and out and not feeling like doing anything, unmotivated, that kind of stuff. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I do not want if I tell my psychiatrist, he's just going to give me another medication. And I didn't want that. So just at that time, my good friend was marketing on social media and I was scrolling through my phone and she was talking about this science of the gut brain axis. And I'm like, my ears like perked up. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, this is amazing. Like, so I got in contact with her and learned about these holistic supplements that help for mental health and mental wellness. And long story short, that's how I got involved in Amari as a wellness partner, because I learned basically what started off as like a holistic approach to my mental health grew into me finding a mission and a movement much bigger than myself, and an opportunity to be able to help others with their mental wellness through these supplements, through programs, all different things.